Good morning, friends. How are you doing? Thanks for joining me on this sort of cloudy and overcast day here in Dallas, Texas. This is the first time for you to catch me live. You're in luck because you're catching me on the very last day of my Saturday broadcast show. Welcome. My name is Ronnie Harden. By trade, I am an editor, a content writer, a writing coach, a former high school English teacher, and a lover of all things books. It's what I do for a living, but more importantly, I love getting to broadcast live and connect with you here on these amazing social media platforms. Is this a way to connect, to share our stories, and hopefully share a few moments together? So, thanks for joining me. It's great to have you here. If you're joining live, please pop in the comments and say good morning. There is my gorgeous girl, Savannah, who works tediously as my virtual assistant, creating all of the social media graphics and videos and things that you see from my content. So, Savannah, I just want to say, honey, always thankful for you and the work that you do. Um, the intro video that she created this morning is one of my favorites because, again, here we are. Here we are once again. Starting tomorrow is the beginning of Banned Book Weeks. And just so you know, I do read banned books. I teach about banned books. I think it's important that we realize what's happening in our libraries, in our bookstores, in our schools, where we are seeing the continual removal of items in our libraries. So, the American Library Association started Banned Book Weeks because it was a way of them keeping track of lists of things that were being removed. And so, of all years, 2022 has been the highest incident of books being banned, books being removed. In fact, there are now news stories, one here happening in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex sort of area in a town called Keller. One of the librarians at the Keller Independent School District had to quit her job because there are people showing up with guns to libraries to attack librarians for doing their jobs, calling them pedophiles and sex traffickers for coming into work and putting books on shelves. So, unfortunately, this year, in all of 2021, the American Library Association listed 729 challenges directed at 1,579 books. They documented 681 challenges to books through just the first 8 months of the year. Challenges to books. We've seen those challenges before. Books like The Color Purple, books like The Great Gatsby, 1984, To Kill a Mockingbird, all books that are deemed unworthy to read. There are those that would hold the Bible in that same column, and yet that's not being removed. And so it is a sad day on many levels. And so today I am celebrating with my banned book coffee mug. This book, this coffee mug has book titles: Les Miserables, Catcher in the Rye, Animal Farm. If you've read any of these books, if you've studied them in school, are they considered uh, bad? What is our rule for naming things bad? So, a lot of the books that are being challenged, of course, here recently are books that contain content um, for the LGBTQ community, because, of course, we can't have books for those kinds of people. We can't have books. That's like saying that Muslims can't have books to read. And so, what is happening? What's happening in our world where books are banned, things are forbidden, people make decisions about what we can and cannot read. Can I start telling you what you can and cannot read? I come on here every week, and I have been sharing all kinds of books, books that I think are fantastic, new books that come out. Some books by authors that I may not necessarily read, but you might, because the exchange of information and sharing our stories is what's so powerful. The ability for us to share and to share our thoughts and our ideas. Are some ideas dangerous? Sure. Do some ideas need to not be discussed except for in personal circles? Yes, that's the beauty of what we have in our country. It's when those ideas and those things are acted upon others that cause harm, it could be dangerous. And so that's a lot of times what these challenges are. People feel concerned about the material that are in the books. They feel that it's harmful to their children. They feel that it's not a place for schools to be sharing that information. I get that. But to show up at the schools with guns, to show up at the libraries with guns and threaten the people who work there, probably not a good idea. So I'm going to get to some of the comments. Hello, Kelly. Good to see you here, my friend. Thanks so much for joining me as always. I know I'm going to see you Monday morning watching the funeral live. You are listening while at Target. Girlfriend, I love that. Taking you to Target with you. I enjoy that. You know, I love me some Target shopping. So here's what's gone on this week. Of course, we know the Queen is lying in state in Westminster Hall. If you've been watching, I mean, we are going on day 4 of a 24-hour procession to visit the Queen. I don't know about you, but I don't think I've known anyone in my lifetime to have a funeral viewing last 4 days, 24 hours round the clock. People are lining up. The last I checked the queue, I mean, yesterday, they were even telling people not to travel to London because the queue to see the Queen was over 24 hours long. Now it's down to 14 hours. They're trying to be mindful of the people and give them time because the state funeral happens on Monday at 11 o'clock British time, which is going to be 5 a.m. here. I'm going to be watching it live. Um, there's not been any disorder in the lines, no crimes, no people attacking each other for political different views. Standing in line overnight. Do you remember the last time you stood in line overnight for anything? Was it a concert? I don't even stand in line like that or camp out for tickets. Not not my thing. Not going to do it. I have other ways to get tickets to shows, so I'm not going to stand in line. But the last time, I don't know of anybody in the United States. And when I asked my husband about it, he said Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was the last person in the United States. I don't know of any person who has had a continuing line of mourners come to pay their respects that lasted over 4 days. I think Queen Elizabeth's father was the last one that happened. So we haven't seen anything like this in our lifetime. And what was amazing today, and I think this, we are going to see some new things from the British monarchy. I think we're going to see a new turn in how the monarchy interacts with the British people. But today, King Charles and Prince William both surprised people. They drove all the way out to Lambeth Gate and went and started saying hello and greeting people and thanking them in the line for standing in line so long, for paying respects to their grandmother, their mother, and thanking the people. And the people were just shocked and overwhelmed. I mean, they were so overjoyed that they came out to the public to meet them, to shake their hands. It was just amazing. And so that's been going on. So Monday morning, we are going to see the funeral of Queen Elizabeth. She will be taken to lie at rest next to Prince Philip in St. George's Cathedral in Windsor. Um, I hope that in my lifetime that I get to go back to Windsor and get to see the Queen and Prince Philip and pay my respects there. So, Your Majesty, so changes are occurring. Lots of changes. Changes in the British monarchy, changes in our world, changes in hopefully your world, not too drastically, but hopefully as we get into this last quarter of 2022, can you believe we are halfway through September already? We're on our way into October and we're into the last 3 months. We are very close to Christmas, y'all. I don't know if you've looked. I'm going to look at my Christmas countdown. Let's just do that, shall we? Are you even thinking about that? Let's see what our Christmas countdown. We have 99 days. 99 days from today is Christmas. 99 shopping days until Christmas. Are you ready? Can you believe that we are approaching yet the end of another year? Goes by fast, doesn't it? And so, all along in these broadcasts, what I've tried to do is encourage you to tell your story, to share your story in unique ways, not just posting on Facebook, not just putting your story out on social media, because again, social media platforms can change and go away, but your story remains the same. Your story is your story. So, where are you going to share that and how are you going to share that with people? Sure, you may have conversations, but what about your family? What about a legacy that you're leaving? What about friends and loved ones that you care about? How are you going to bless them with what you have, the gifts that we have, right? So I have been encouraging you for a long time on this show, and now that's going to change because I was at a conference recently. And as I try to do, I try to stay up with all of the trends, all of the things that are going on social media so that I can be as effective as I can in helping you. And what I discovered through my research in learning about social media posting guidelines and the best times, I love me a good graphic, a good bar graph. It shows me the best times. It says the worst days to post on Facebook. The worst days, guys. When is it? Saturdays. Now, why is Saturday such a difficult day? I would have thought that Saturdays would be great because people are off on the weekends, they have time to do things, but they may not have time to sit at the computer and watch a live stream show. Maybe they're consuming that content at a different time. And I thought, okay, all right, I understand that. I get that. So the show is going to be moving. It's not going to go away completely, but I am going to go on a little 2-week hiatus. And then starting in Rocktober, my birthday month, we're going to kick off the month brand new with a new time for the show. So, Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Central Time, on my Facebook business page, you are going to be able to still catch my show live. Now, if you're not following on my business page, please do so. You can see it right down here in the crawler. Go to facebook.com/Ronnie Harden. Make sure you are following me because that is where I'm going to be sharing my content live on Facebook. For those of you that catch me on YouTube, you'll be able to see me on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronnie Harden. So again, if you are watching via Facebook, you can catch me live right here. Make sure that you go to this website, to this Facebook page. Make sure you like it and turn on your notifications so you know when I'm going live. And you'll be able to catch me on Writers Wednesdays with more from the editor's desk because I will be sharing lots of news about books and about things that are important to you in writing and sharing your story. And speaking of new books, I've got some great ones this week. So lots of great books came out this week. Super excited about them. One of them, my business mentor, who's been doing a great job in the 10 years that I've known John Acuff. He has helped so many people by sharing tools and ways that we can accomplish our goals, showing us. In fact, John is writing a new book right now, but he put out a new book with his daughters. For those of you that are familiar, let me see if I can. Here it is. Got to go to the other stack of books. Some of you may be familiar with John's book called Soundtracks. John put this out last year. It's been super helpful talking about the soundtracks that we play in our head when we're trying to go about achieving our goals, setting goals, or just living life. So he says, I apologize for taking so long, but it seemed too good to be true. Maybe it was a fluke. Maybe it worked for me because my situation was unique. Maybe everything that happened was an accident, and if I tried to teach someone else how to do it, it wouldn't help. Maybe if I shared it, people would think I was weird. Better to keep it to myself. So I did. And this secret moved me to Nashville. It helped me hit the New York Times bestseller list. It sent me around the world. For years, I kept this secret in my back pocket, using it to transform my career and my relationship and my health and every other part of my life. Eventually, though, I got curious. Was I the only one that this secret could help? So I launched a survey. He asked 10,000 people if they struggle with the very thing that he figured out. And more than 99% of them said yes. He said, if you lean in close, I'll tell you what the secret is. I discovered how to turn overthinking from a super problem into a superpower. This book is all about the soundtracks that we play in our head, the overthinking that we do about big problems, right? So when this book came out, it was a hit. Everybody loved it. The tips and the tools that he gives you in this book help you dismantle overthinking and put you into the realm of using that thinking to move you forward in the goals that you have for your life, setting goals and accomplishing goals. That's a big thing for John, right? So when this book came out, we all loved it. I mean, people were reading it. They were using all of the tools that he had. I was in a special book, a launch group for John, and we read it. We went through an exercise with him to actually break down those things and utilize them. And it's been super helpful. So a lot of people were commenting and telling him, man, if there was a kid version of this, if someone would have handed me this book when I was in high school, it would have made a huge difference. Well, this week, John did just that with his daughters. So this book came out this week. It's called Your New Playlist with John and his two daughters, Ellie and McCrae. Ellie is a freshman in college this year. McCrae is a junior in high school. And so when it comes to mindset, we know that this affects our kids just as well as grown people, right? This is why certain people are challenging books. This is why certain books have become banned, because people don't want their kids reading them, right? This, however, is a book that your kids can read that will be super helpful, because it says, when you're young, the entire world is made of new. You're a movie that's barely started, a notebook with blank pages to fill, a song that hasn't hit the chorus. You have your whole life ahead of you. The crazy thing, your future life is directly impacted by your mindset. Positive or negative, your thoughts matter. They can work for you or against you. In fact, a single repetitive thought believed when you're a teen can change the course of your entire life. I want you to think back to when you were a teenager. Okay, oh, hi, Milo. Oh, look, here's Milo. What would our show be? Come on. What would our show be without an appearance by Milo? Milo, what about your thought life? Do you have a thought life? Come on. Or is it just, hey, can I go outside or can I have a snack? Is that your mindset? Well, think about something that you thought about as a teenager. Have you ever had thoughts of like, nobody likes me, or I'm weird, or maybe you were super accomplished and achieving in high school. Maybe you thought, you know, I need to get my letter on my jacket, or I need to join the debate club, or I need to, you know, think about that. What it was like in high school, and how if your mindset had changed when you were in high school, how that would have impacted your college and your adult life. Well, that's what John is doing with this book with his daughters. So they have put out a teen version of soundtracks. So this is for the adults. This is for the students. So if you have a student, you have a high school student, if you have a niece or nephew or grandkids or cousins that are in school, whether you're a high school or a college student, definitely want to pick up a copy of your new playlist. And I'm going to be giving some of these away in my birthday month. So you're going to have to stay tuned on how you can grab a copy of this one for your friends. All right. So that has been a great book that came out this week. Now, another book that came out this week that I've been super excited to read. This is a book written by the woman who is the CEO of the Dallas Mavericks. Her name is Cent Marshall, and she went through a cancer battle. As many of you know, I did too. And so she has spent her entire life beating personal and professional odds while helping everyone she meets see how they are uniquely equipped to thrive. So, this book, Milo, I need you. Okay, thank you for loving on all my things and all the books. I need you to sit down and calm down. There you go. And sit down and be right here. And I always got to love on all the papers and all the stuff. But Cent Marshall, she has written a book called You've Been Chosen. And the tagline reads, do you want to be lifted up? You have to come to the right place by Hoda Kotb. And so this book, let's see. You've Been Chosen offers what Marshall calls the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly parts of her journey through both cancer and everything that led up to it. Along the way, she tackles the tough questions that we all face. What will I do with what I have been given? How will I respond to challenges with both grace and grit? Where will this new path take me if I keep moving? And how can I offer something good back to the world? Sid Marshall's deep faith and positivity will inspire you and motivate you, and her story will help you see how all your experiences, even the hardest moments, can work together for something good, bringing you to positive places you've never experienced otherwise. She shows you how to find your own voice of power and encourages you to remember and believe that you too have been equipped to walk your unique path with purpose, that you too have been chosen. So, Cent Marshall, the CEO of the Dallas Mavericks baseball team, it's a woman, is the CEO of the Dallas Mavericks. She has written this book about her battle with cancer, how she rose above it, and how, even though you may not be battling cancer, or maybe you know someone who is, book will be a great resource to help them have a positive mindset. And again, as John has talked about, mindset is everything, right? So You've Been Chosen, a great book by a fantastic woman. So I'm really excited to be digging into this. I kind of already started reading it. I can't wait to dig into it deeper since I too am a cancer survivor. So I hope you'll be getting, and I'll be putting links to all of these books in the comment thread. But more importantly, it's important that we maintain access to our books, that we share our stories, right? Because even though there are books put out there, and I see them all the time in my job, believe me, as an editor, I see so many books that are being published that are out there. Titles that I may not necessarily agree with. In fact, I was having a discussion with a friend yesterday, And I'm going to share you the book that I said was a real. He didn't believe me that it was a real book. I said, yes, this is a real book. Um, Let me get to the book title. And I'm actually going to the page so you can see that, yes, this is an actual book. There are books out there that we may not necessarily agree with, that we may consider questionable. And yet in our country, we have the ability to freely say what we want, put stories out there, publish stories, even if you will. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you an actual book title. And I'm going to put it on the screen for a few seconds. And I'm going to let you see that. And then I'm going to let you, I'm not going to make any comment. I'm just going to put the book cover up on the screen. Let me see if I can get the bigger picture up on the screen. Here, I'll let you just see. All right, here we go. This is an actual book. Take a few minutes to look at the title. This is an actual book that came out at the beginning of 2022. And so certain book titles have the ability to cause us to stop, take a moment, reflect on the fact that how we feel about a certain thing. Um, and yet, now I will tell you that if you look at the ratings, the overall rating on this book is a 2. And you can scroll down and see the comments. But clearly, this person has some opinions about how they feel and some exposition on their interpretation of what they believe. Yeah. So there are books out there that share different views, different perspectives. Should they be banned? Should they be, hounded for the fact that they wrote a story? I'm sure that the author was very sincere in his beliefs and the thoughts that he put forward in his book, but his book is out there. His book is out there. It's not being banned. I don't know how many people have actually bought it. He's had 34 reviews. So obviously some people have read the book and shared what they thought about it. But it's not being banned. It's not being forbidden for people to read. It's out there. There are more books like that out there in the world. Books that we may not necessarily agree with in their content, but we have the ability to not read them, right? If you don't want to read these books, don't read the books. Don't pick them up and read them. But if there are other people out there in the world who may want to read this may be something that they agree with, right, Milo? Mm-hmm. What do you think? What if Milo wants to read the book? What do you think, Milo? Mm-hmm. Milo will probably read a banned book. But again, those books are not being taken down. They are being, yes, I know, buddy. It's the last show. Oh, it's the last Saturday show. So again, authors have the ability to share their stories, to share what they think and put it out there in the world. Whether people agree with what they have to say or think it's good, there are some people who put cookbooks out there, and they're all about candies and cakes and all. I don't eat any of that anymore. I enjoy a good piece of cake. I enjoy desserts. I can't eat a lot of them, especially post cancer treatment. My body does not assimilate sugar very well anymore. So I have to be careful about that. That doesn't mean I want all cookbooks banned. I love the British baking show. I love watching people make those things. Whether I put a fork in it or not doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter because that's people sharing their gift, sharing their thoughts, sharing what they believe and what they feel, right? So this gentleman who wrote the book, is he harming anyone? You know, and yet, if he was to harm someone through the rhetoric in his words, when people take action, show up with guns at a library, that's when something can be dangerous. When it is fueling contention that causes people to take action that harms others. And so we have to be careful with that. So, a set of books that I think is going to be a great help, especially if you have a young person who is attending school and going through this, because this is a great book to read. The one book is great to read in tandem with another. So, this book came out. It is called Attack of the Black Rectangles by Amy King. This is a book, and some of the praise she's received, a provocative exploration of human action and interaction on both local and global levels, as well as the interplay between past, present, and future. King's novel will leave readers pondering how we treat each other and the planet. So this is the premise because I love the book cover, right? You notice how there it says some adults don't want you to know the truth, but the words are blacked out to say adults know the truth. Okay. When Max first opens his classroom copy of Jane Yolen's The Devil's Arithmetic and finds some words blacked out, he thinks it must be a mistake. But then when he and his friends discover what the missing words are, he's outraged. Someone in his school is trying to prevent kids from reading the full story. But who? Even though his unreliable dad tells him to not get so emotional about a book for anything else. Mac has been raised by his mom and granddad to call out things that are wrong. He and his friends head to the principal's office to protest, but she doesn't take them seriously. So many adults want Mac to keep his words to himself. Mac is about to see the power of letting them out. In Attack of the Black Rectangles, acclaimed author Amy Sarah King shows all the ways the truth can be hard, but still worth fighting for. The book that they are talking about in this one, that Mac discovers in his library reading for a class assignment, is a book called The Devil's Arithmetic. And this book is about the Holocaust. So why is a book about the Holocaust being banned in Mac's school? Why has someone gone through and removed words in the story about what happened to the Jewish people? And these are both young adult literature. This is YA, so these are easy reads. If you wanted to read them yourself, you could. But this book is about a character who wanted to read this book, but this book was censored. And so this book is about the attack of the Black Rectangles, about the story. So for you to understand what's going on, you need to read this book about the Holocaust, which is pretty easy book, and then read this one. So The Devil's Arithmetic and Attack of the Black Rectangles, both great books. And of course, in my book club, where we don't censor books and we don't diminish people's perspectives on books, we're reading some great ones. We are reading a book called The Giver of Stars. This is a story that is set during the time in the 1930s in Kentucky, in rural Kentucky. Rural, that's a word I always have trouble Rural, rural. That's a rough one, right? Rural Kentucky, in the mountains of Kentucky, the pack horse librarians were part of a Works Progress Administration program that President Roosevelt put into place to get books out to people who did not have access to libraries. And so this is the true story of these women who traveled on horseback. It's based on the true story. This is not the actual true story, but this is a story based on the pack horse librarians, and the characters are the librarians taking these books into rural Kentucky to the people who don't have access to books, and the impact that that has on the community, and some of the backlash from the community who is having new ideas and new ways shown to them up in their remote locations, right? This is the 1930s. So, how do these people get books? Well, it's the pack horse librarians. And so, if you want to read a great story about what it was like for these women to overcome formidable odds, not only physically from the weather and the travel, but also the people, to see the impact they had, the lives that they changed, and some lives that they've challenged. So, the Giver of Stars, if you want to join the book club, again, you can go to my website and do that. I'll put that right up here. You can, here we go. So if you would like to join the book club, you can go right here to my website at ronaeharden.com/contact. We would love to have you. There's still time. We have another live book discussion coming up on September 27th. So you're still in time to grab a copy of the book. You can grab a copy of the audiobook if you really like to listen to material that way and consume a book. You can get it on Audible and listen to the story, and then join us on September 27th for the live discussion. We've got some great books lined up for the rest of the year. I'm super excited about them. I hope you'll be able to join us. So if you want to, go right here, ronaeharden.com/contact, and come and join us for this amazing story called The Giver of Stars. Lots of stories, lots of books. Maybe you have a story to share. Maybe you have something you want to share. And guys, let's go beyond social media posting. I see so many of my dear friends posting every day. And I keep thinking, wow, if they were to compile all of their posts in a year, you would see how many words you've actually written. In fact, why don't you do some homework this week? Why don't you, over the weekend, go back through your Facebook post and just do a copy and paste, right? Take all your Facebook posts, do a copy and paste into like a Word document or a Google Word document. And just from this last week, so start from last Saturday and go all the way up to yesterday, and count up all the words that you've shared on social media in this last week. Or maybe you're someone who doesn't post a lot on social media. Maybe you don't. Do you have a story in you you've been wanting to tell? Maybe you write a lot for your job. Maybe you have a lot of correspondence that you send from people. How much of that have you sent over the week? Probably a lot. You'd be surprised how many words you actually produce or come in contact with on a daily basis. So think about that, because you'll want to join me during the month of October. I'm going to be doing a great story time prep as we get ready for National Novice Writing Month for November. A lot of people call it National Novel Writing Month, but I like to call it National Novice Writing Month, because for those who are just beginning on their journey of writing their story, or even thinking about ways to share their story, we're going to be working through that together. And maybe you've got a story you'd like to produce that you are thinking about. Maybe you want to put something together that you could maybe share with your family over the holidays. Possibilities are endless. So I've shared a lot of books. I'll be sharing these books in the links, and I'll be posting photos of the books with descriptions about them so that you can pick them up. I hope you will pick up these, right? Devil's Arithmetic, and The Attack of the Black Triangles. These would be great to read with your kids. Another one that's great to read with your kids. Cannot recommend this one highly enough. If you want to give a student something to help them going into college, if you've got juniors and seniors who are in their school year and they're starting to prepare for that transition that they're going to make from high school to college, get them a copy of this book. Everybody needs to get their kids a copy of this book because John's, oh, I love this one. Look at this. People, look at this. People in the game always get criticized by people in the stands. Ooh, people in the game always get criticized by people in the stands. I love this. So here's something I said. So this is Ellie. She said, I didn't have a single one-star review until I wrote this book with my dad and McCrae. A stranger never went on Amazon and said, Ellie is not very good at marching band. She's terrible at AP English and she's not that great at parallel parking. No one ever criticized my average life. But guess what's going to happen when this book comes out? Someone is going to look at me. Someone is going to notice me. More than that, someone is going to notice this book and not like it. Someone is going to pick it apart. Someone is going to write a one-star review. That's fine though, because people in the game always get criticized by people in the stands. Whether your game is to become an Eagle Scout, run for class president, work on your back tuck for a year so that you can make the cheerleading squad, or something completely different, when you move beyond average, you're going to face a little criticism. That's how adventures work. People who are too afraid to go on one always criticize people who are too brave to stay in the stands. And if you're reading this book, that's you. Most people don't make it this far in books. Most students don't read books about changing their mindset. Most people don't dare to be anything but average. But we're not most people. The game is waiting for someone like you. When you join it, don't worry about a little criticism. Remember, people in the game always get criticized by people in the stands. Ooh. You know, if I had something like this when I was in high school and I broke my wrist, I still have my big knot here on my wrist from when I broke my wrist in gymnastics and I couldn't compete anymore. I couldn't be on the gymnastics team anymore. And I had no idea what I was going to do. And you know what I did? I joined the journalism classes. I got on the newspaper staff. I got on the yearbook staff. I got on the creative writing magazine staff. And I did that for the remainder of my high school years. I pursued a degree in journalism, which then led me to Dallas and working in radio, which then helped me have a career in radio for 8 years. Then I also became an English teacher and shared my love of words with high school students. And so when I was faced with that challenge, I made a change that deeply impacted my life. And now I sit behind my desk and work as an editor, helping people share their stories and tell their stories to the world. And if that's you, I would love to work with you. So again, guys, go right here to my website, roneharden.com/contact. You can get on the list to join the book club. You can let me know if you would like to have a 30-minute conversation over coffee to talk about ways that we can get your story produced and published, or maybe just encourage you a little bit to start writing regularly and sharing your story, because we have a job to do. Here's something that I always found amazing. When I read scripture, I don't know, maybe I'm a little different. Maybe I read things differently or notice different things. But to me, I always read Jesus's words as, oops, let me take this one out. Hold on. Let's take that one out. Okay. I always found it really interesting the way Jesus would word things, right? Because when I read that what Ellie wrote about criticism. We're always worried about comparison. Whenever we do anything, we're always looking to see what somebody else thinks, or what somebody else is doing, or what somebody else is saying, and allow that to hinder us from producing our best work, our best thoughts, our best actions towards others. So here is something interesting. In John chapter 21, this is when, Jesus is having the Last Supper and he's with the disciples. And, he asks Peter 3 times, Peter, do you love me? And he's like, yes, Lord. Jeez. I mean, you've asked me like 3 times. I wonder if Peter actually said, geez. Jesus, did you just ask me that 3 times? Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you really love me? And Jesus asked him the 3rd time, and Peter kind of got his feelings hurt because he said, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. And Jesus said, um, he kind of said some things to Peter that said, yes, in fact, this is how well I know you. I also know how you are going to die. I know you when you were younger and you dressed yourself and you went where you wanted, but when you are old, you will stretch out your hands and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go. And he said, follow me. Well, then Peter's immediate thought, well, what about this guy? Peter turns to John, the one who was sitting next to Jesus. He had his head kind of leaning back. John was Jesus's cousin. And Peter's like, well, you just told me all that about my life. What about this guy? What about this guy? When we think about people, like the book I showed you earlier, well, what about that guy? What about that guy publishing a book? What about this guy publishing a book that I may not necessarily find that I agree with or that I would even want to read? What about this guy? What about that guy? And here's what Jesus said to him. If I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? You follow me. Ooh. If I wasn't talking on this live stream, I would take my microphone and drop it on the floor because that's a mic drop moment. If I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? I mean, I pretty much think that Jesus just told Peter, how about you mind your own business and you worry about doing what you're supposed to do? Quit worrying about all these other people, right? Well, again, that's why I love what Ellie said. Um, People in the game get criticized by people in the stands. People in the game always get criticized by people in the stands. Are you in the stands or are you in the game? I hope you're in the game because I'm going to continue the game on Wednesdays on my Facebook page. We're going to be talking about writing. We're going to be talking about sharing your story. I'm going to continue sharing great books that come out every week because, in fact, most books drop on Tuesdays. So Wednesdays, I'll be able to share the new books coming out for the week. And we're going to be talking about focusing on sharing your story. Don't be someone who just stays in the stands. It's fun to be in the stands. It's fun to watch the game. I don't want to play football. I love watching football. I love watching basketball. I got to tell you, I have become a fan of watching basketball games live, and I will always love soccer. Don't criticize your players. If you're not willing to get out there and be in the game, support them, cheer them on. That's what we're supposed to be doing, right? But if you want to get in the game, you want to share your story, if you really want to produce something that you can leave behind as a legacy, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Sharing what's inside of us and giving that to others. I want to thank you all for joining me all these Saturdays, being a part of this online community. I want to thank you for supporting me all these years. I've been live streaming for over 8 years now, and I love, love, love doing it. I love getting to come here and share with you some of my gifts, and I hope you'll do the same. So guys, thanks so much for being a part of this community. Thanks for being in my little online corner of the world. And thanks so much for all the coffee that we've shared on Saturday mornings over the last few years. It's been a blast. And I hope that wherever you are encouraged to get out there and share your awesome with the world. You have the ability to impact someone's life today. Did you know that? You've already impacted mine just by taking a few minutes to be here. I hope you know that I want to encourage you, support you, and most of all, thank you for sharing all these Saturday mornings with me. I hope you'll join me on Wednesdays at 8 a.m. on October the 5th. We start back October the 5th, and it's going to be my birthday month. So we're going to have some huge fun things going on in the month of October. It's also breast cancer awareness. And I, again, will be participating in the Susan Komen Walk for More Than Pink Walk this year to raise money for breast cancer research. I hope you'll join me. I hope you'll be there on Wednesday mornings. I can't wait to see you there. More importantly, know that I love you, and I'll see you again soon on the interweb. Okay? Take care, guys. Thanks a bunch. Have a great weekend. Get out there and share your awesomeness. Somebody needs it today. You'll make a difference in their life just like you've made a difference in mine. All right? Have a great one. Much love. And I'll see you maybe in a bookshop or a coffee shop nearby. More importantly, I hope to see you live on October 5th as we start a whole new series. All right?